Well, there appears to be a big pile of things on the table today, but first we'll start as usual with what's in my pocket. So I have my Strider PT. Had this knife for a lot of years. It actually traveled around the country with some of the usual suspects, checking it out on a pass around. So that's my modern folder, and I have this traditional folder, which is the Tom's Choice Ancient Barlow. This one here is in what's known as scratted bone, and scratting just means the scratches on here, if you're not familiar with traditional terms. And it has a unique type blade shape to it. I believe this is called the lamb's foot, not sheep's foot, but lamb's foot. So not too many of these out there in the wild. Good knife. But we're here to talk about the tools on the table today. So we're going to talk about pocket tools. And yes, I know apparently some people didn't like me going off track with the knives a little bit. I'm going to cover a little bit of everything on the channel. So today, yes, I do have a knife on the table because one of these tools is related to knives. But today we're going to talk about pocket tools. So I'm going to start over here on the right. And this is a tool from one of my friends, Rick Bloomer, also known as Dragon Cut. And this is the Pry Rambit. This one is 5/8 inch thick D2. This is just a standard pry bar. You can see here that the tip is very fine. It's not sharp, but it's sharp enough that if you needed to do any kind of work with it, you could. Like if you needed to kind of cut some tape on a box or something like that you didn't want to damage the material inside. It's fine enough to get into a crack and really pry. This is also an impact tool. You can hold this like this and use it as an impact tool. It's also kind of a single finger knuck of sorts. And finally, this little loop right here, you can see it's kind of cut upwards. You can put this on top of a bottle and pop caps with it. So it's also a bottle opener. That's the Pry Rambit by Dragon Cut Design. Like I said, Rick Bloomer, a buddy of mine. I picked this one up a couple years back at Blade. And this is also by Dragon Cut Design, Rick Bloomer. And this is the Dragon tool. And this is in 3/16 inch strike plate titanium. This has several different functions. You can, which I didn't even recognize some of the functions until Rick told me. You can run a split ring through here for keys, and you can actually use this on your belt loop as a key keeper or something of that nature. The mouth here serves as a bottle opener. The mouth also serves as a section to hold a bit driver, and it's just another pocket tool. This one, he specifically, this was early on, he did a little bit of a different design on this one with the heat anodization. So you can see there, pretty cool, pretty interesting. If you go check out his website, he has changed the design a little bit, but cool tool. This right here, I do not know where the card is at for this. Unfortunately, I lost it. I believe this is just plain old stainless steel. And I think it's a cow tool or something like that, but obviously looks kind of like a cow a little bit. Again, you can loop something on or loop something through these holes, and you can use this, run it through a belt loop or something like that, and you can hold items. This is a bit driver holder. The teeth right here, you can see they've been treated, and I always get it messed up, so I'm not going to guess if it's carburized or carbidized, but it has been treated. This is actually a bottle opener, flathead screwdriver, and this is a two-dimensional Phillips head screwdriver. So pretty versatile tool. And the horns, if you want to call them that, are actually a Strider tool. So you can stick those two horns, and I'm doing this through the viewfinder. You can stick those two horns in here, and you can see it turns. Oops! It turns the chainring bolt. So good tool. Picked it up a few years back. Don't remember exactly what the name of it was. And finally here, this is the reason why I started this video, and this is just on loan from a buddy. This is a Zack Wood custom knives and tool. Pry and Pop, I believe is the name of it. It's in Z-Wear steel, which if you know anything about steel, that's a tool steel. Very good steel. You don't see a lot of it out there in use on different items. There's no information on the back of the card, but this tool here is has a pocket clip, has a chain ring bolt. It is chamfered all the way around. You can see there's some good machining on this. I like the grind lines here. This end is obviously the pry bar / flathead screwdriver. You also could use this as somewhat of a bottle opener here, or not somewhat. Actually, this is one of the best bottle openers I've ever used. The lip here, I hope I can get it to focus. The lip at the bottom down here actually curves up just a tiny bit, and it really latches on to bottle cap. So I was kind of impressed by that. The one thing that I noticed, because none of these are necessarily cheap, but this one is definitely not cheap. This is, I believe it's $245 directly from Zack, which, you know, hey, good things cost good money. But you can see here this machining mark, it just kind of stops right there. The edge is chamfered. I hope this is coming across on the camera. The edge is chamfered, and then all of a sudden it just stops. Everything else looks good to go. Even inside these ovals, around the edges, on the back side. I mean, everywhere. Like I said, these grind lines I think are done very well. I think the finish on this is pretty good. You can see that it's still Z-Wear, like I said, is a tool steel. So you can see it still has picked up some oxidation on the tool itself, but it's a pretty heavy duty tool. I think it would do anything that you needed to do with the pry bar. I like it a lot. I carry a pry bar on my keychain, and I don't have my keys on me right this second, but I carry, I think it's called a Brewster by Leatherman. That's a Leatherman Brewster, and it you know, I carry it, but I don't really ever use a pry bar. But after holding this, I could really see how this could come in handy sometimes. So just a good little tool. But I wanted to lay out all of these tools for you today and talk a little bit about pocket tools. So again, these were Dragon Cut, these were Dragon Cut design tools by Rick Bloomer, and this here is a Pry and Pop by Zack Wood. I appreciate you guys watching, and remember, a lazy man carries a dull knife.